Hello everyone, welcome to the editorial analysis of the Shankar IAS Academy, and today's video is for the date of 18th of March 2025. So these are the topics for discussion. The article titled "A Jab in Time" from the Hindu discusses about the seasonal flu which has been pertaining in the New Delhi and the surrounding region. And the next article, New Delhi's perilous recalibration with the Taliban from the Hindu, again discusses about the importance of India and Afghanistan's relationship. So in light of this article, let us see the discussion for both of these articles along with the mains practice question. Now look into the news. Recent reports have been made that there is an indication of increase in the seasonal flu cases, particularly in the region of the Delhi NCR. So this signifies the importance of the seasonal flu, the vaccinations, especially for the high risk groups like the elderly. So first let us see what is the seasonal flu. It is a communicable disease and it comes under the nodal ministry of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And also it comes under the other organization, that is the National Center for Disease Control, who also come under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The NCDC are mainly known for their being the regulatory body for the communicable diseases. So it brings in the surveillance and it provides guidelines for protocol implementation and other guidelines. Now let us see what is the influenza flu. The influenza flu is a contagious respiratory illness which is caused by the influenza viruses. So here they are transmitted easily from person to person through the droplets. And looking into their symptoms, it includes sudden increase of the fever, which is high fever, having muscles to aching or aching muscles, bringing in headaches, and having severe malaise, that is the increase or sudden increase in the illness of the body, having non-productive cough, that is the dry cough, where it doesn't involve production of the mucus but it brings more irritation to the throat, and having sore throat. And in serious cases it can lead to hospitalization or even lead to casualties or death. Now let us look into the types of influenza virus. So here there are 4 types of influenza virus. First is the influenza A viruses. They are classified into subtypes according to the combinations of the proteins which are present on their surface of the virus. So influenza A virus is always like the subtypes present according to the protein present. So here we can take example like the AH1N1, AH3N2. These are just combinations of the proteins and they lead to formation of their different subtypes. So here the AH1N1 can be famous for its swine flu. And influenza B virus, it is not classified into subtypes, but here it can be broken down into lineages. So they involve genetic modifications. For example, they belong to B Yamagata or B Victoria lineage. So they all belong to this type of B, but there are different lineages present or the genetic modifications present. So the difference between A and B is A is will be affecting both the humans as well as the animals, but B it mostly affects the humans. So these are the differences between A and B, and A and B is the most severe one as they come under the prime importance of the public health system and public health policies. The next type, influenza C virus, they are detected less frequently and usually it causes mild infections, and so they do not present public health importance. Next, influenza D virus, they are primarily affect the cattle present and are not known to infect or cause illness in people. So these are the 4 types of influenza virus. So who are the people at risk? First is the pregnant women, next is children under 59 months of age, next is aged people who are 65 years and older, that is the elderly, people living with other chronic illnesses, people receiving chemotherapy. So we should all know people with less immunity power are most affected here, people living with suppressed immune systems due to HIV or other conditions. So these are the people at high risk. Now looking into the prevention, there has been vaccination for the influenza flu. First is through the injectable form. So they use the inactivated influenza vaccines. Inactivated influenza vaccines are killed vaccines who are unalive vaccines. unalive viruses who are injected into the bloodstream, and they act as a fake virus to fight for the immune system, so that our body gets resistant with the virus present. And next is the recombinant influenza vaccine. Here they don't use the killed virus, but they use the virus protein products, so it acts as a protein to the body and they bring in the immune system. And next is the through the nasal spray, where they have the live attenuated influenza vaccine. So these are a bit weaker viruses who are injected into the body through the nasal spray, and they fight for the immune system. So these are the prevention methods through vaccinations. Now let us look into the measures taken here. First is monitoring and surveillance. The Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, IDSP, brings in the confluence of the state's effort, where they should keep a close eye on the cases of severe acute respiratory illness and influenza like illness. So here they both use A and B viruses, and influenza like illness is kind of a weak form of influenza, whereas severe acute respiratory illness is the most dangerous form of influenza flu, and it can lead to casualties and it can also lead to hospitalizations. Next is virus research and diagnostic laboratories, that is a VRDLSs, which is to be initiated by different states to analyze clinical samples for influenza and other through the local bodies. Now, looking into the strategies for vaccination, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare need to have yearly influenza vaccination policies and programs, and next having regional specific immunization schedules according to the local districts. Next, looking into guidelines and public awareness, there needs to be materials for information, education and communication. So this is a strategy which is used mainly by the public health systems or by the social awareness programs, where they bring in information to the public and they gather materials to support their program, that is to inform the public. So next is having technical guidelines, where there needs to be extensive guidelines for covering the ventilatory care, having treatment procedures and patient classifications, so that there is addressing of different target groups. And looking for protocols for clinical management, there has been antiviral availability. The antiviral drug known as oseltamivir, or they are known as Tamiflu. So our Indian government, under the Drug and Cosmetic Act from February 2017, have brought in uh, recommendation by the WHO, have brought in the sale of this antiviral drug, especially for the influenza, where there has been sale allowed under the schedule H1 of this act. So H1 is having prescribed sale of this particular drug. Next is healthcare infrastructure, bringing in N95 face masks and personal protective equipment, that is the PPE kits, have been in rotation for sale for the welfare of the and protection of the people. So we should all know that influenza like illness have also been associated with the COVID-19. So many of us were confused whether it was COVID-19 or it was an influenza, as the symptoms were somewhere equal. So integrating of the N95 face mask and also bringing in PPE kits were associated with spread of influenza as well as during the period of COVID. Now looking into the challenges, first is having low adult vaccination rates. So there has been overlooked due to the lack of information, misconceptions and the financial hurdles among the different target groups. Next is having limited government policy on adult immunization, bringing in healthcare access disparities and less surveillance gaps in the private healthcare. So we should understand how important the influenza flu in the spectrum of the public health system. So there needs to be even more policy implementation and strict following of those protocols. So looking a way ahead, first we need to develop a national flu vaccination strategy, so everyone are getting benefited. expanding awareness campaigns, improving vaccine affordability and availability for different disparities, and strengthening the surveillance and data sharing. So, including of AI and technology, Internet of Others can be a major change for the public health system. So, I hope the article is clear. Now, let us look into a mains practice question. The seasonal influenza remains a recurring public health challenge in India, particularly for the high risk groups. Discuss the measures taken by the government to control the flu and the challenges faced in its implementation. So, I hope the discussion was a framework to this question. I also ask the students to put in their answer in the comment section. So, thank you so much. Now, look into the news. New Delhi's perilous recalibration with the Taliban. So, here the context is reporters suggest that Prime Minister Narendra Modi may appoint a new envoy for India's embassy in Afghanistan. So, here envoy means in historical terms it is a messenger sent by a king. So for us in modern terms it is a messenger sent by the government of India, and in this context there has been reports that Prime Minister Narendra Modi may appoint a new envoy for sending to the India's embassy present in Afghanistan. So here this article is important to understand the India and Afghanistan relation, the challenges associated and a way forward to it is through different factors. So first let us see the Taliban's background. So here we all know that Taliban is a Islamist militant group which was formed in the 1990s in the place of Afghanistan. So looking into their origin, they were formed after the Soviet Union's withdrawal in 1989 during the Afghan Civil War, and they mainly comprise of two groups, that is the Pashtun students and the ex-Mujahideen who are part of the Taliban. So, ex-Mujahideen are people who were part of the Afghan Civil War and who wanted to overthrow the Soviet Union. Now, looking into the rise to power of these groups in 1944 to 1966, they formed a group which was formed by Muhammad Omar, and they, as a group, they seized Kabul in 1996. And looking into their ruling in the year 1996 to 2001, they brought in the strict emphasis of the Sharia law. So they overthrew the Sunni law and they banned music and women's education. They also harbored groups like Al Qaeda and also Osama bin Laden, and they had overthrown the US government after the 9/11 attacks. So this has caused a major insurgency from 2001 to 2021, almost a decade. Insurgency, we all know, it's a rebellion to overthrow a government. So it was an insurgency formed by the Taliban group of people where they fought the US-led forces. They included many warfare techniques like the guerrilla techniques, but after a decade, the US-led forces had withdrawn by the signing of the Doha Agreement in 2020. Now, looking into the return in 2021 till present, the Taliban had took over the Afghanistan and they are facing isolation and as well as economic crisis along with the resistance from the NRF. So, National Resistance Foundation by it's a militant group who are against they are known as anti-Taliban, who are against the present rule of the Taliban. So here we all can understand how complicated one's own country's history is, and we need to know how important India would be juggling through all of these global conflicts. Now looking into India's Afghanistan relations, here India has a more of a strategic partnership agreement from 2011 where it strengthened its ties in trade, culture and security. So historically also India and Afghanistan have had their trade relations even more. Now looking into trade and connectivity, in 2017 we brought in the air freight corridor where it boosted the Afghans exports to India. Next, bringing in the infrastructure of the Chabahar port in 2017 where it brought in direct trade route bypassing the Pakistan. Looking into the cultural ties, we bring in scholarships and training for almost 3,500 plus Afghan students in India yearly, and other important cultural activities like sports includes cricket and football exchanges, and also the formation of the India-Afghanistan Foundation, that is the IAF, where India funds cultural and other economic projects altogether. Now, looking into the humanitarian assistance, especially during the period of COVID, we brought in 75,000 metric tons of wheat and medical aid. Looking into addressing their food security, almost 1.1 million tons of wheat for drought relief was given. And looking into medical aid, there were a lot of there were diagnostic centers which were brought in Kabul. So here approximately 1,710 Indians currently reside in Afghanistan, who are engaged in different sectors such as banking, IT, construction, healthcare, NGOs, security, and in the realm of academia. Now, looking into the challenges in recognizing the Taliban here, mainly it is on the women's right violation, as there is no education and jobs for women, and also the risk of terrorism. So here Taliban has been accused of supporting terror groups. Now, through the news that has given through the involvement of envoy for the embassy of India in Afghanistan person, let us look into more of its significance of this engagement. First, countering China's growing influence. So we know a lot of projects such as the BRI project by China, where they are trying to invest in Afghan projects also. It brings in influence of China's dominance over the region. So India having a formal relationship through the embassy present in Afghanistan can strengthen our ties also and put our global importance. Next is countering Pakistan's role. So here already through the port engagement of port, which is bypassing Pakistan, is a controversial status for both India, Pakistan as well as for Afghanistan. So here countering Pakistan roles by Taliban seeking ties beyond Pakistan can be encountered. Therefore, looking into a way forward, first there needs to be insurance of Afghanistan to remain terrorism free. Next, to press the Taliban to respect the human rights. We all know how different global powers such as the UN have all involved. And next is having balance of engagement with security concerns, as it is a global issues. So I hope the article is clear. So this historical understanding is very important when it comes to, especially for the international relations, for us to know the foundation of how different countries works and what is the present status of it. So now let us see a mains practice question. A stable Indo-Afghanistan relationship is crucial for South Asia's peace and prosperity. Analyze India's approach and challenges in engaging with Afghanistan. So here whatever we have spoken can be seen as a framework for this question, and also I ask the students to put in the answers in the comment section. So I hope this video stands as the most basic idea of India and Afghanistan's relation, and I want students to even to look into more aspects of this relationship. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are at the end of this video. So don't forget to give a like, comment and a share, and to further not to miss any other contents, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a